TypeScript 101 series. It will be happening every Wednesday, um, starting today, and today is our very first event to have this TypeScript 101 series, and which the main topic we'll discuss today is introduction. Just a little bit bio about me. My name is Dennis Washira. I'm a computer science student at Kirinyaga University and also a Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. And I'm happy to be part of this journey, and I hope I get something out of it. And we can get started right away. So the goal of this session is to gain a solid mental model that will allow you to design, discuss, and also understand TypeScript in depth, and also be able to create something out of this amazing web programming language. Just a simple question is what it is TypeScript, and before I say what it's TypeScript, just an overview of where the TypeScript came from. And JavaScript is one of the most used programming language, and that has become the official language of web. Developers use it to cross-platform application and that can run on any platform and in any browser. Although JavaScript is used to create cross-platform apps, it wasn't conceived for large apps involving thousands or even millions of lines of code. And JavaScript lacks some of features or more mature language that powers today's sophisticated application. And IDEs can find it's challenging to manage JavaScript and maintain this large code base overall. And TypeScript addresses this limitation of JavaScript, doing so without compromising the key value proposition of JavaScript, the ability to run your code everywhere on every platform, browser, or host. And the big question is what is TypeScript now? TypeScript is an open source language that was developed by Microsoft, and it's a superset of JavaScript. So which means that you can use your JavaScript skills if you have already developed a ROM with certain features that were previously unavailable to you. And so this is just an overview of why the TypeScript when we say like it's a superset of JavaScript. So it sits on top of JavaScript where it has some more features like interfaces. We have strongly typed, we have the generics and so on and so on. And the core feature of TypeScript, it's type system. In TypeScript, you can identify the data type of variable or parameter by using the type hint. And with this type hint, you physically describe the shape of an object, which provide a better documentation and allow TypeScript to validate that your code it's working well. And throughout the static typing in TypeScript, TypeScript catches code issues in early development that normally JavaScript cannot catch until the code is in the browser. And types also let you to describe what your code is intended to. Um, if you are working on a team or teammate who comes in after, you can easily understand it too. And also types also powers the intelligence of productivity, benefit of development tools such as the IntelliSense, symbol-based navigation, go-to navigation, and also find all references, statement comparison, and code refactoring. And over a couple years ago, TypeScript has become more popular. So in terms of download, you can see like this was 2023. It's still on top, where more downloads are like more devs are using TypeScript compared to other languages, and it's becoming popular. And why types are a big deal? And we have just talked about it, like it leaves the intent on the page, like especially when it comes to articulating constraint. Like this code here, it's a JavaScript function. Like this kind of intent is often missing on from.js code. For example, this function, you are not sure of like parameter A or B are either of type integer or type string. And so
Yes.
as
For example, this function, you are not sure of like parameter A or B
kindly,
are either
if you
of type
join the
integer or
meeting,
type string. And so
make sure you
kindly,
mute.
if you join the meeting, make sure you mute.
Dominic, kindly mute.
Dominic, kindly mute.
And also Anthony.
And also, and
Thank you, Anthony. So as I was saying, why types are the big deal in TypeScript, and the mostly it is the way you can identify the data type of variable or parameter using now the type hint. And like this function here, as I said, it's a JavaScript function. It has two parameters, which is A and B. And without now typing, you leave that the intent like of, we don't know what type of these variables is. It can be either string, it can be either an integer. So in this, is this meant like to take numbers as arguments, string, both? So this is the kind of question that most of the developer when came to interact with this function, we'll be asking some of these questions. And maybe you can, what if someone interpreted A and B as numbers and made these backward compactable changes like this, A, B, then C is equals to 0. Then you return the addition of those two variables. But now types came to solve such kind of errors, and also to leave that intent by typing every argument or function. And like this is an example of a now TypeScript function, which now has variable A, which is type number, and B, which is a type number, and then the function returns a type of number. Then the return the addition of this. So when now running this function and you you do a mistake of passing a string instead of an integer, TypeScript now will be able to say like argument of type string, it's not assignable to parameter of number, because the function expect two integers, two variables of type integer, but you have passed as integer and a string. So these now the powers of types, and also the code is readable and also self-documented. Like it's clear to the author that the function is expecting two parameters, which is A and B, and of type number. Okay, so let's continue. So as we continue, why also the type, it's just a continuation, like a TypeScript moves some of these kind of common programming errors to compile time, from runtime to compile time, like maybe the absence of values, which is commonly found in JavaScript, which is null and undefined, and also uh, the case of incomplete refactoring and also breakage around internal code contract. And also overall, it serves the foundation of great code authoring experience. And to go along, we can now have our first row bound program in TypeScript. And before we write this code, there are some kind of requirement you need to install in your machine. And before we write this, we need like to have the TypeScript compatibility with the JavaScript. So since we said TS, so I'll be mostly using TS, which means TypeScript. If it's JavaScript, is JS. So TS mostly is the strict superset of ECMAScript, which is ES6 module. And the relationship means that all JavaScript code is also a TypeScript code, and a TypeScript program can easily consume JavaScript. And since browser cannot understand TypeScript, so we need a compiler that will be able to compile or transpile your TypeScript code back to JavaScript. Then you run that JavaScript code with Node so that now you can be able to view it on the browser. So since we saying like TypeScript, it's not natively supported in browser. So you need to convert your code to JS. And when to say the other thing is to select your editor. So you can write your TypeScript code in any editor or IDE, but in this session, we will be using VS Code or Visual Studio Code, which is free and lightweight source code editor, and it runs on any desktop, whether it's Mac, Linux, or Windows operating system, and also comes with some built-in support for JavaScript, TypeScript, and also Node, and also has some rich ecosystem of extension and other languages and runtimes. And to install Visual Studio, we went over to the Visual Studio official website, and you'll be able to select according to your operating system. Then when to install the TS compiler. So your code editor might have a built-in language support for TypeScript. But however, to transform your TypeScript code to JavaScript that a browser will understand, you need first of all to install a TypeScript library. And this library, it contains some of the TypeScript compiler, which is called TSC, which now we'll be using to compile or transpile our TS code to JS code. And before you install TypeScript compiler, you need a copy of Node.js environment to run your TypeScript package. For those who might be new in this, Node.js is a JavaScript library for server-side application. It isn't required it is not a requirement to have to Node to run TypeScript, but by installing it, you get the npm package manager. So it is a native package manager for JavaScript, and it comes bundled in the Node.js. So it is always important to have the node installed in your machine so that you can leverage the power of npm But there are other node package manager like yarn, we have pnpm, we have ban. So any of them will work. But anytime you install Node.js, you'll be able to have that node package manager. So if you are a JavaScript developer, so most likely you have npm installed in your machine, and you can check that by opening your terminal and running npm version, and you'll be able to see the version of your npm installed. And also, if you are an experienced JavaScript developer, you may be aware of other package manager like yarn, ban. Like for me, I use pnpm. So like this pnpm is a package manager. It works the same as npm. So when you see me using pnpm, it's the same as using npm package manager. So first thing and all is to install. So let's get started. So let me stop sharing the PPT and open. So under an empty desktop, I will create a new folder. So just right click, then a new folder, then I call it hello world. So I will open this with Visual Studio, since I said I will use Visual Studio Code, which is commonly known as VS Code, to do my programming. So once I open this folder with VS Code, this is what I get, my Visual Studio Code. And there are three ways of opening a terminal and Visual Studio Code. So you can use this button here, this toggle button here. You'll be able to open a terminal in your VS Code, or you can use the shortcut in your keyboard, which is Control and backtick. So backtick, it is the button that is right at the on your left side of the first button on the numerics, from button number 1. So on the left, you find that button there, and you'll be able to open the terminal there. Or the other one is to go over these three dots here, then you go to terminal, then new terminal. You'll be able to open a terminal. So since we have opened the terminal, and already I have installed a node, but if you haven't installed node, you can head over to the official website for node install. So it's node.org, and you'll be able to download node a version. So it is this official website here, which is node.org. So, and I hope my screen is visible. Kindly, if you are left behind, let me know. So, is my screen visible? Can somebody confirm?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah. So once you have installed your node, you can just check the version of the node you are running. So if you run node dash version, you'll be able to see the version of your node you are running. For me, it's version 20.18. And since I installed node and we said npm comes natively with a node, you can be able now to check also the version of your npm in the node. So you can see I have version 10.8, and you are good to go. So you may use npm, but you can also use other node package manager like pnpm. Like for me, I use pnpm, but it's any package manager that you feel like it's okay with you. So there is no harm using any other package manager, but they do the same thing. Now we need to install TypeScript in our machine. And the command for installing a TypeScript in our machine, it's as simple as this. So for those who haven't don't know other package manager, you need to use now the native package manager from Node, which is npm, then install, then fragment G. So fragment G means like you are installing the TypeScript globally in your machine. So anytime now you open a new project, you will not need to install TypeScript again, because you have installed the TypeScript globally in your machine, like it's as now the administrative right in your machine. Then the want TypeScript. So with this, you'll be able now to install a TypeScript. So since I've installed a TypeScript, I will not click enter. But if you have not installed TypeScript, you need to use now this npm install global TypeScript. And for others, like for me, who like pnpm, so for me, I just use pnpm install TypeScript. And with this, by clicking enter, you install TypeScript globally in your machine. And to confirm whether you have installed TypeScript in your machine, use the keyword TSC to check the version of your machine, of your TypeScript you have installed. So TSC, and you click enter, and you get some of badge of information there. You'll be able to see if you scroll up to where it started, you'll be able to see like I have now version 5.7 of TypeScript, which is now this TypeScript compiler, which is version 5.7. Don't worry about other information. Just help guidelines on how to get started with TypeScript. So if you type TSC and you see kind of information, that means you have installed TypeScript in your machine, and now you are good to go. So the next thing is now to write our first TypeScript code. And what we'll start is just a row wound in TypeScript. And now under my VS Code, so let me zoom here a little bit. When saving a file in any of programming language, you need to save it by the extension of that language. Like JS, we save it by .js. So if it's HTML, it's .html. So if it's TypeScript, is .ts. So I'll click this new file icon here, and now create just a simple file with .ts file extension. That means like this is a TypeScript file, and click enter. Now I'm good to write the first code in TypeScript. And what we said, we just want to have just a simple row wound in JavaScript. So let me write the first function in JavaScript, which is like it's just a normal JS function, but with types. So it's function. It's a greet function which takes just an argument name. So I'll not type for now. I'll just explain how we type in TypeScript. So it's a function that is just returning what? So return name. I just use some string interpolation there. Then hello Then I call the name that I'm passing on the function name, then just say welcome to the round of TypeScript. Then I just need to console log this on the console. So console.log, then the function, which is, remember, anytime you write a code, a function, you need to initialize it, to call it anywhere in your in your file. So I need to call my function here, which is now greet curly braces. Then I can use my name, which is Dev Dennis. So this is a JavaScript function, and it's also a variant TypeScript function, but it lacks the type, which we specifically say like a TypeScript and the intent of that function. Like yes, we know it's a function, but we don't know whether the argument we are expecting here, it's a string, it's a integer, or a boolean. And now with TypeScript, we are able now to eradicate this problem, and also to have now more readable program in JavaScript. So how to type a function in JavaScript? In TypeScript, we just use the full colon, then the type you want to assign to that variable or function. So this name, my name is a string, so I type it with a variable string. Then also remember, any function, it should have a return type. And you can see, like in my function, I'm just returning a bunch of strings saying hello, blah, 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 welcome to round of string. So that means this function return strings. So under here, I will be able now to type this function and assign it to of type string. So we are done with the first typing our function, which is now like the name of type string, and string. The function is returning something, which is a string here, and we are console logging that anything that we pass here, and we are console logging that on the console. So let's try now and run this TS file. So let me clear my console here, and we said running TS, it's not recognized, or it's not compatible with the browser, so you need to transpile your code back to JS. And that's why to check that, you can try running using Node. Remember, Node is a runtime environment for JavaScript. And so if I use Node, then index.ts, if you notice, I'll get an error, which is unexpected token, which is now like Node is not able to interpret what is this types here and also these types. So that's why we need now to transpile this code to JavaScript, so that you can be able to run this code in using the Node environment. So, and since we installed TypeScript, so we will use now TypeScript to transpile this code back to JavaScript. And by doing that, you use now the keyword. So let me clear the console. So you remember we checked the version of TypeScript using the command tsc, and it is the same now command we use to transpile our code back to JavaScript. So I'll use tsc, then the file name of the file you want to transpile back to JS, which is now this file. So it's tsc index.ts. Then click enter. So with time, it will just transpile this code, and if you want, and if you notice, we have now an extra file in our root folder, which is now index.js. So this is now the JS version of this TypeScript version code, and we are now ready to run this function using our normal node environment. So now we can use node index dot. Now it will not be index.ts, it will be .js. So it's node.js. And with that, you can see now, hello, Dennis, welcome to Bound of TypeScript. And we can try to play with the argument here, and maybe we say CSK. So anytime you type or you update your TS code, you need to transpile that back to JS. So I need now to transpile this again using the tsc index.ts, and click enter. It will transpile the code again, generate a new index.js file. And if you want to confirm, you have the new JS file here. And we can run this, which is node index.js. So I will be able, oh, we have not saved this. So CSK, save tsc index.ts, we transpile that, then we run node index.js. We'll be able to see hello CSK, welcome to TypeScript function. So that's just the basic introduction to TypeScript. We will be running more about JavaScript, about the folder structuring, which is the most crucial when interacting with any of programming language. For folder structuring is the most important, and also when compiling your ES code, there are a bunch of options that the compiler takes, so that you can be able now to control on how your JavaScript is generated from your TypeScript. So, and these options, you can set either them on a command prompt, or you can use a file name, which is called tsconfig. And I just want to introduce the compiler option, and we call it a day, and maybe we shall continue next week from where we left. And the compiler option comes with a bunch of options that they control on how you want your JavaScript code to be generated. Remember, we have common JS and ES6 module JavaScript. So those are simple options that the TypeScript compiler just take by default, but you can edit them and have your way how you want your JavaScript compiled. And generating tsconfig.json, you just use the ts command. So tsc, let me clear here. So I use tsc, then double fragment, then init. So with this, you'll be able to initialize a tsconfig. So let me just minimize this terminal and be able now to, we go and see what in this tsconfig JSON file. So it has a lot of compiler options, and most of them are commented, but the most basic, the default one, like a skip, right check, it is like a skip, like it's it skips the type checking of or DTS file. Maybe in your file, in your project, you have like an environment variable. So it will skip checking the types of those environment variables. We have like the strict, which is true, like it is enable strict type checking. So it, by this you mean like your TypeScript compiler, when compiling, it strictly check the type checking. So if you have not typed your TS code, you'll be getting an error. So if you want to skip that, you can turn this by saying false. And when compiling your code, it will skip that option, but it's always because you are using TypeScript, you need to type your code with the correct type, and you need that the strict compiler option. We have this false consistency casing in file naming, like it ensures that casing is correct in the import, so it's always automatically update. Like if you have an file that is exported and imported in another file, it's able to update the casing of that folder. Like when we say it's case sensitive, like you have a folder file that is with capital F, but we're importing it with small f. So the compiler will be able to see that and flag it as an error so that you can be able to update with the correct import name. Then we have like another one, which is ES module interrupt. So it is a kind of emit additional JavaScript to ease the support of importing like a common JS module, which is now like if you have worked with JS framework, which is like a const require instead of import module, which is the latest, which is I mean the ECMAS version way of importing files. And others, you can uncomment them, and there are a bunch of them. You can check them on the compiler option on the official TypeScript documentation and be able to understand all this, what it is meant, what does it do, and you can see like module, like this is just it's saying like specify the module of the code generated. So the module of code generated, we have two type, which is common JS and ES6 module. So this one, it transpile our code to JavaScript to common JS JavaScript version. Then the target, so it is the node or the environment of which the function our code will be running in like ES6 2026. We have like I think the latest is let me see. You can see like the latest is ES 2024, but ES6 2016 or 2020, it's okay. So it's depends with what you want. And so there are a bunch of them. So I want to uncomment this and just get a clear, just a simple compiling options. So let me delete this and have a simple, which has now have uncommented my code, and left some of most important, like the most likely options you'll be using while using TypeScript to transpile your code. And the first is the target. So target, it is the JavaScript language version you want to emit. So I'm using ES6 2022. Then the module is the node version. So it's this version 16. So you can update this to the latest, maybe the node next or common JS. So, but for now, let me use the node 16. Then the root directory. So root directory is where your file will be residing on. And when I say residing, so you can see here I have said root directory source folder. So under my source folder, the root folder, I want to create a file, a folder, which is called now SRC, the source. By now we are running the folder structuring that will be most commonly using, so that's to have the editability, and also a well-organized TypeScript project. So I want my root directory to be the source folder. Then module resolution, so it is to specify the TypeScript lookup, which is now the same as the node 16. Then out directory. Out directory is the directory where you want your transpiled TS code, which is now the output, which is now JS files where will be stored. And I'm saying these files, when you emit those files, I want them to be on this dist file. So I need to create another folder, which is now dist file, where now any code that will be written in this will be transpiled and added to this dist folder. Then the ES module interrupt, so it's an additional JavaScript is support. Then the strict to type checking. Then the skip bribe, which is now to skip checking any file, any environment variables in our code. Then it is also an extra compiler options I added. So I said I want to include any file that is on my root folder, which is source, and maybe on the child folder or file in our source folder, which ends with TypeScript, with the TS extension. Then I want to exclude. Maybe we start installing packages like Anxious, we like third-party libraries. Those modules, we don't need to transpile them. So we need to tell the compiler option, hey, if you see anything on nude module, you should skip that, do not transpile that code. Just transpile anything that is under source folder and anything that is on the parent or the child of this source folder. And we are done with the compiler options, and it's now time to arrange our code well. So let me delete the JS file. And this TS file, remember it is on the root. So I want to move this file inside my source folder. So let me move that to there, because remember on my TS, I saying like the root directory will be the source folder, and I'm including everything that is on source folder that as an extension of .ts. So in compiler, when I call tsc, it will look at the source folder, look for every file that is .ts and transpile it with now this option like target the ES 2022, the module node 16, then module resolution, the strict and the skip ripe, then also skip the node modules because these are just libraries that enables your program to run. And we are done with this. And now this is our code. So I don't need now to change anything. And now if I want to run this, I will not need to have to keep on including every file in when I'm transpiling my TS file code. So remember when I have like a bunch of them, so like you can see here, I am transpiling only one file, and when the project will be growing larger and larger, we'll be having a bunch of TS files under the source. So it will be required to add those files in your compile statement, which is more tedious and more time taking. So that's why we end this compiler option so that we can be able to track everything in our code. So with this, I don't need now to type the one index.ts, because when I use now tsc, it will check anything that is under source folder and transpile it and throw the output to this folder. Let me now use the tsc command and transpile my code. So it will take some couple of minutes, and it has transpiled our code. And if you open this dist file, we can see now we have our JavaScript code, which was now compiled from by our TSC. And now I can use node index. So node index.js. Remember, this might get us into trouble because remember index is under dist folder. So we need to specify the correct path for this index file. So it's dist / index.js. And if I run that, I will get the same output, which is now CSK, welcome to the world of TypeScript. So that's just a basic folder structuring. We'll be able to go ahead now to run new features and also to come across the newest version of like the TSC, like the watch mode, where now you don't need to keep on compiling your code. You'll be having something we call TSX. The TSX it just comes with a feature which is more watch. So anytime you change anything in your code here, it will be able to rerun or to retranspire your code back to JavaScript without typing the TS command in the command prompt. And with that, I think that's enough for today. And I'm open for any question or clarification before we end our first session on TS. Any question up to there? Or anyone who have not understood anything, we can just try to brush through whatever we have talked about. Any question? Any clarification or comment? Why are people quiet? TypeScript is not hard to understand if you are coming from a JavaScript world. So it's the same thing. You can just see here. It's the same type JavaScript, but we are only adding the type int on the variables and the functions. And that's all. But as we go on, we'll be able to run special features on our TypeScript, which is like we have interfaces, we have generics, we have something we call, let me confirm. Yeah, so generics, types, interfaces, and so on and so on. So we'll be able to cover those in the coming session. Don't worry if you came late. I'll be sharing the coding afterwards. And I think we are done for today introduction. If you have any question, you have like 2 or 3 minutes to end the meeting. Any question? Any clarification? Yes, Alexandra Come. You can just unmute.
Hello. Okay, hello, Dennis.
Yes.
First of all, let me say the presentation was good, and I'm so happy about today. So many people out there are willing to join such. So if it's possible, can I be sharing the link outside for people outside Kirinyaga?
Yeah, the event is global, so there is no limitation of who to join. So if you have friends who can join from website, it's okay.
Okay, and another suggestion too, can you create a WhatsApp group for the same so that people can join?
Yeah, I'll create a WhatsApp group and share the link in the meantime. So let me see whether I can create right now.
Okay.
And share in the group in the meeting before we end the call.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Any other question or clarification? So silence means there's no any other question. I'll be sharing the WhatsApp group link to join in the CSK community and share to your friends, and also see you in the next week, same time, same place. We'll be now having some just basic concept about variables, functions, object, and arrays in TypeScript. You can just be familiarizing yourself with these concepts before we meet next week, Wednesday. Thank you for your time, and see you next week. And have a good night.